Good day, my name is Leoma Flaherty and it's the 8th of August 2024. I'm here with Bruce Carter, who is a member of the Pretoria Bonsai Kai as well as the Bonsai Addicts, which are located in Pretoria as well. And today's topic is fig trees as bonsai. Bruce is very enthusiastic about figs, and he has many different figs in his collection. And that made it a good reason to come and visit Bruce to speak about figs. Thank you for having me here, Bruce.
It's a pleasure, Len. It's great to have you here. Thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you. Bruce, how long have you been doing bonsai?
Okay, it's a fairly long story, if you've got time for it. I got my first bonsai in 1987. I bought it from a craft market down in the Cape, and by the time I had got a collection of 6, I was then posted to Durban. I was in the Navy at the time, and in the move these trees got lost. They just disappeared.
Yeah.
And all the assurance that the company gave us, but no, they were gone. And so this was 1990, and I lost a bit of the interest at that stage because it was quite heartbreaking to lose these trees. And then in 1997 I moved back to the Cape and started again, picked up my first bonsai again at a craft market, and from there I grew a collection to about 12, and then we moved up to Pretoria, and I thought, oh no, here go my bonsais again. So I made a specific effort to drive up, and I had all the trees in the car with me, and the family drove up separately, and so my trees arrived in Pretoria in good order. And then from there I joined a bonsai club, and then another bonsai club, and then now I have far too many trees to even count. So that's the story.
Okay, that is interesting, Bruce, because my next question for you was, what different climates, areas and conditions have you grown bonsai in?
Okay, yeah, the Cape is a fantastic place to grow bonsai. It has the winter rainfall, so a little bit different to here. One has to watch for root rot, because you could have weeks of this dampness and moist, so one has to be careful of that. But other than that, it's a great climate for growing bonsai. Then Durban, everything grows in Durban. You just throw a cutting down and it starts to grow. So Durban is a fantastic place, especially for the tropical trees. They go very well there because of the humidity and the specific climate. And then Pretoria, a great place, very sunny, so the trees that handle sun, our indigenous trees, do very well here. The only thing we have to be cautious of in the Pretoria region is frost.
Yes.
We do get frost, believe it or not, and it can be quite devastating.
Yeah, staying on topic with figs is that KwaZulu-Natal and the Western Cape are more lending climates for growing figs.
Yes.
By comparison to us up here on the Highveld.
Yeah.
And you suffered a little bit of damage from frost this year.
Yes.
And
yes,
albeit in areas where you've kept your trees for years, and this winter just got
kept
to them.
in the same place under shade cloth.
Yes.
This tree here, you can see it's lost its crown, and then in the corner, in the tail figs, they got badly hit, and so they've been defoliated now. But they will survive.
Yes.
That's the main thing. Yeah.
Bruce, as you know, that I'm particularly interested and enthusiastic about indigenous trees as bonsai.
Yeah.
And I wondered if you could tell me how many species of ficus do we find in South Africa?
All right, so South Africa, we've got 23 known species, and this is according to Steyn. We have the Steyn's book there, so using good references. And then if you look at the greater area, Southern Africa, there's 48 species, and then within Africa, 110 species.
Wow.
And 750 worldwide. And this is from the authoritative book on ficus, which is borrows this very thick book in front of us here. Yeah, so it's quite a few.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bruce. What indigenous fig species have you seen being used as bonsai?
Okay, so the indigenous one, the very best is the Bert Davii. It really reduces quite nicely, also known as the felt fig. We have the Sycamorus, which is the cluster fig. It's a very hairy leaf, so that can be quite easily identified. The Crater Ostoma, which is the forest fig, that has a blunt end to it.
Yes.
So again, very easy to identify those. And then the Natal fig, the Ficus natalensis, which is a great species to use specifically if you want to try and do a strangler style.
Yes.
Their
Okay.
roots, oh, beautiful how their roots grow. So to me, those four are the top four.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bruce. Out of those species, which ones have you personally worked with?
Worked with all of them.
Well done.
So
Cool.
they're all my favorites. But the Bert Davii has got to be the top of the list. There's this little one in front of us here, little Bert Davii. You can see the leaf reduces quite magnificently, and if you look at the ramification within, it really looks like a very large tree, a large natural tree in a very small pot. You can see the size of my hand by scale. This is a little mame, so it really is quite small. So these to me are the absolute ultimate.
Great. Thank you very much. Beautiful tree, Bruce.
Thank you. That's a special one, very special one.
In Mbombela, or previously Nelspruit, the Lowveld Botanical Garden boasts 24 different species of fig in their gardens. A recent development and progress with a new species is being made in Nelspruit by a very prolific bonsai grower there. His name is Tola Smit,
Oh,
and this is what he has to say about it.
okay, yeah, fantastic. Let's hear.
Hi, my name is Tola Smit and I live in Nelspruit in the Mpumalanga Lowveld area where the Ficus limosa occurs in abundance on rocky outcrops. These two trees that I'm showing here is two trees in my garden, two beautiful specimens. This is an example of the fruit. It turns red when it's ripe. This is a smaller tree that I've been cultivating as a bonsai, which is coming along reasonably well, and hopefully it will become a reasonable bonsai eventually. The prominent feature of this tree is the greenish grayish bark, which is flaky but which gives nice texture. This is an example of the leaf, and you can actually see the small hairs on the leaf. This is a juvenile leaf, and you can see the size. This is a smaller tree that I've been working on. The leaf reduction in this tree has come along extremely well. The leaves reduce to approximately the size of a thumbnail, as you can see over here, and it could possibly become even smaller. This is a smaller example which was put on a rock, and this is typically how they grow in our area. The leaf reduction on this tree has also come along nicely. This is a larger tree that was dug 2 seasons ago. Initial branch selection was done, and we will probably work this tree during this coming season. You can again see the grayish, greenish, pale flaky bark. This is the base of the tree, which is quite special. It fills the whole growing box and will be exposed over a period of time. The trees grow quite well from truncheon cuttings as well. This is a truncheon cutting taken from a branch of a tree, probably 3 to 4 inches in diameter. They also propagate quite easily from semi-hardwood cuttings.
What exotic fig species have you seen being used as bonsai in South Africa?
Well, there's the ever popular Ficus microcarpa, which comes from China. Then we have the Ficus benjamina, You will see quite a few of those around. It is very popular. It's got a lot of different varieties as well. We'll have a look at some of the varieties that I have in my collection. And then the Nerofolia, and this is the willow leaf fig, which we'll have a look at later on as well.
What is also worth mentioning, because it's so available in normal sort of supermarkets and things like that, is they're ever available and easy to look after Ficus ginseng.
Yes, indeed. Yes, and I do have one. So there we go. We've all got one in our collection. You see these in most of the supermarkets. And this has got quite a lovely canopy, this one. And yes, it actually uses the microcarpa leaf, which is grafted on to the base.
Yes.
So we all have one, and we all love them.
The species that you've mentioned, do you have any of them, and what is your opinion on them?
Yes, absolutely. I do have virtually all of them in the collection. So here is the microcarpa. The other name for it is the Green Island fig. Very green, very lush leaves, and a really beautiful tree to work with. It backbuds quite nicely, like our indigenous figs. And this one I've been growing for a while now, and I'm ready to start working on it. Do something special with this tree. So that's the carpa. Then the Benjamina, rather special one here. What would you say so special about this one?
I think it's got contorted or curled leaf.
Yeah, some people call it the curly leaf or the contorted leaf. Absolutely lovely. So I do love these. The problem with the Benjamina is that they tend to be very apex dominant, so they want to grow up all the time, and they get very leggy as a result of that. So you get these very straight bits. So it's very hard work to keep these as bonsai. And I think a lot of people are using them more as pot plants,
Yes.
as opposed to bonsai. But yeah, the very unusual ones are really great to try and do something within the bonsai field. Here's a variegated leaf one. This I think is absolutely lovely.
Yes.
So just something different and unusual, and so one can work with that. Just keep working it.
Generally looking at ficus, what advantages do they have over other species for bonsai?
Okay, the ficus is very easy to work with. They have fewer attacks from bugs and fungus, so they tend to be easy to look after from that point of view. They can survive being without water for a while, so if you forget to water for a day or two, they're not going to die on you. So that is a big plus. And then they backbud really nicely. So when you get these leggy bits, you cut back. What I often do is I bend, create a bend, and on top of the bend is usually where the sun will hit the node and get it to grow.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes I found that if you just cut it off, then the whole branch dies. So a good idea is to bend it. You keep your leaves. Let's have a look like this one here. Grab this one. So if I want this one to backbud in an area like this, if you simply strip the leaves off and cut it, it might not backbud.
Yes, okay.
So you bend it like that. So you've got the leaves that are still pulling the sap, and then it will backbud on top there.
Nice.
Then you can cut it.
Thanks. That's a great tip. Thank you, Bruce. What's often viewed as a preferred style for ficus is a very wide canopy, and often sometimes a canopy being wider than the bonsai's actual height, which I think is actually illustrated by your willow leaf ficus.
You can see in the background there.
We'll have a look at that.
Look at that later.
I think that they grow easily from cuttings, and actually you can spread them amongst hobbyists with cuttings, and even around the world. I actually wonder if a lot of the sycamore figs that we see even in collections today were all cuttings from Charles's
From Charles's
famous
tree,
one.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the using roots as a display, or having aerial roots,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
displayed in some of yours that we will have a look at a little bit later.
Some of those,
And
yes.
also it's their ability to fuse. So even fusing to
Yes.
itself or fusing different
They
ones
fuse
together.
magnificently. Yes.
I feel that lately we have been placing a lot of value on identifying which species of ficus exactly we have in our collections. Would you like to speak about the difficulty in identifying fig species?
Yes, it is. There are basic species that are very easy to identify. The blunt leaf, or the sharp leaf, or the specific green leaf. But some of the species are quite complex and very difficult to actually identify what it specifically is. And even the books say so. You know, they say this could be this, or don't confuse it with this, or it is often confused with this. So it is a ongoing problem within the ficus family. So yes, it's not easy. It is not easy all the time to identify what it is.
Yeah. Do you think there's value in this pedantic of like identifying exactly what species of fig you have?
Okay, I'm going to shock you and say no. I really enjoy my trees for what they are. If I have a really magnificent tree and I can't quite identify it, you know, the genre and the species and all that,
Yeah.
it's not going to detract from the love that I have for that tree and this, you know, the special place it has within the collection. So I think we place far too much on trying to identify exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Enjoy the tree. Yeah.
I think that this is a little bit of a habit that I'm encouraging, Bruce. Okay.
Good. Yeah. Mm.
Please give us an overview of the different ficus for bonsai, their defining and identifying features, and their pros and watch points for bonsai.
Okay. Other than the Bert Davia, which we've already discussed in
Yes.
quite depth, the Natalensis is a fantastic species, great air roots, and it's a fairly fast grower compared to the others. We've got Crater Stoma, which is a beautiful tree. It's got those nice blunt ends to it, which are very unique and very identifiable. The problem with it is it tends to grow very leggy, quite tall, and then the branches come out as a whorl. So you'll have 6 or 7 all in the same place. We can have a look later on when we go through the collection. I can show you specifically what that problem is. Then we've got the nerifolia, which is the reduced, the leaf reduces absolutely beautifully. I've got several of those that we can have a look at, a very nice one at the back here. And then the microcarpa, you know, for everything that people say about it, yes, it is over popular. You get it in every supermarket, but it's a very forgiving tree. It grows beautifully. It gives you lovely leaves. So it's a stunning starter tree for everyone, I think.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much, Bruce. Not very often seen, but a species that I'm very enthusiastic about is the cordata, which is an Namakwa fig. And they grow almost in the southwestern side of South Africa, or in southwest Africa. And I made a cutting of one several months ago, and I think that they're very promising because of the very small leaves and small internodes. And I wanted to give this to you to add to your collection.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. I do not have that, so this is fantastic. The collection's just grown.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much, Liam. Thank you.
Bruce, would you and Lilybell like to take us through a few of the figs in your collection?
Yes, most certainly. So this one's a Natal fig, the Ficus natalensis, and you can see this has been defoliated, and the reason it's been defoliated is because of the frost.
Yes.
So it's got hit by the frost, and it was in the same place it was last year, under shade cloth, and this is what happened to it. So this tree, the origin of this tree, it was 2 uprights. It was supposed to be a twin trunk root over rock, so I've made it into a windswept configuration, and it's held for about 3 years now, so I think it's quite comfortable with this. And this is the example we were speaking about earlier with the roots, how the roots fuse and tend to make quite an interesting arrangement. So that's the Ficus natalensis. Next to it we have the Davia. Here's one that's been dug out the field. So this is a Yamadori collected, and you can see how thick and how big it actually gets.
Yes.
Again, you'll see the canopy has been defoliated for me by the frost, but it will recover. There's a lot of life in there still. And you can see, just to compare it to the cutting, the cutting obviously has to be worked to get these leaves reduced, but that is the same.
Yes.
The same tree.
Sorry, Bruce, is this a cutting from this plant?
No, this is not a
Okay.
cutting from this plant. It is a separate cutting. And then compare that then to, I showed it to you earlier, a very special tree given to me by a very special person, and this is one of my favorite trees, I think. Really reduced well. You can see how small those leaves get.
Yes.
Then next to this, next to them is the Nerfolia. This is the willow leaf fig. You can see quite a beautiful specimen here. This previously was Jackie Krayling's tree, and then I took it over, and beautiful tree from our collection. And next door to it, another one. You can see they really make great bonsai. What I like about them is the leaf, and that's why I'm very excited to get this from you, the Cordota, because if you look at the two leaves,
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yes, they're very similar.
And I think long term, having a local species in our collection is going to be far more exciting than the exotics.
Sure thing. Bruce, your club, the Bonsai Addicts, has an exciting event coming up in September, and I wondered if you would like to share the information with us.
Yes, certainly. So the Bonsai Addicts, in collaboration with the Woodwork Club of Pretoria, are having a combined expo where we will have trees intermingled between the turned pieces and the carved wood pieces. It's going to be quite exciting. It's the second year, so we do know that this works very well together. And we will also, for the bonsai enthusiasts, we will have talks and demos, and we're going to be looking at indigenous species as bonsai. We're going to be looking at pot selection and why certain pots work and why other pots don't, and we'll be looking at carving of collected Yamadori to make it look natural. So it's going to be a great occasion. We hope to see you there.
Thank you very much, Bruce, and thank you very much for having me here and sharing with all of us your collection of figs for bonsai.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming.